All right, you're watching Co-op for Two. It's Tuesday evening, 11 p.m. Central Standard Time here in Champaign, Illinois. You're joining me for the second session of Etherfields, which we played last night. And it's a little bit of an unusual... You can generally tell what kind of a stream it's going to be based on whether I've shaved or not. There's the streams that I try to prepare for, a little bit at least, and then there are the streams where we just jump on and we read the rules together. And for those of you who have insomnia, these are probably the best ones because I might ramble and there's a whole lot of nothing going on. But joining me today is Jonathan Warner, who's the person who suggested we try Etherfields. A bit of an older game, and a game with a mixed reputation. Isara is joining us today as well. YouTube says 7 concurrent viewers, which basically means it's just us. Now, yesterday we played through the tutorial scenario, and we left without doing the cleanup and the introduction to the larger game. So yesterday's scenario taught us basically how to move around and interact inside a dream. But there are 2 more components to the game. There's a sort of overworld where we move around a dream world before entering dreams. And then there are these slumbers, which are sort of mini dreams and were the subject of some real criticism, as I understand it. And part of the changes to the rules, the optional changes to the rules, are rules to let you skip out of these slumbers that can feel like busy work. So I suspect in today's session, we're going to spend a good chunk of time understanding how to set up the world for the rest of the game, and maybe we'll have our first slumber before we start skipping them, and we'll talk about whether we want to skip them. Let's do a little bit of bookkeeping first. There were 2 minor rules that I caught that we got wrong. Probably others that the channel will have to, that the viewers will find well after I've played them, well after I've made the mistake multiple times. One of the mistakes we made was in paying for the cost of a card, and when we get to another card like that, I'll point it out again. The other thing we did slightly wrong is we had a tile for the current dream, and on the back it said a couple special rules, like here's the goal and here's what happens if you run out of turns. And so I'll correct that when we get that as well. Surely there will be little mistakes made during play. That's just how these things work, especially when I play solo, because without Greg to help me not make mistakes, I mean, when there's 2 people, they help each other avoid making mistakes. When it's just one person, mistakes happen much more frequently. Now, the other thing that's changed is the setup of the table. I wasn't thrilled with the different views of the cameras, so I'm going to experiment a little bit more. Let me just show you, though. So in the previous playthrough, I had a larger mat here, which was this overworld map, which you don't use while you're in a dream. And then this was up here, and this thing was more visible. So I think we're going to do it a little bit differently now. I think what I've got is I'm going to actually take this player board and get rid of it. And we're going to use this area. This player board doesn't do anything but keep track of the distress and the ether you've collected, and you stack your progress cards under here. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to stack our progress cards under here. I'm going to use this for the cards I draw, and we'll keep our ether and distress somewhere visible here, and we'll use off to the side the draw deck and discard deck. And then we'll put our items we collect here and time here, and maybe I'll do the turn stuff here, even though these are not quite the right symbols for that. I'm also gonna swap out, we are in a dream, so we're playing the engineer here. And this is our official character. Well, it's dark though. In real life, these, I'm now drawing a blank on the name. The sun drop looks okay shaded, but it's hard to see anything on this board. We're in a dream. Our appearance can change based on how we think of ourselves. So I'm gonna swap out our official model for this model from my Mansions of Madness that I painted. It'll be a little bit easier to see us on the board. So I'll just put this one back in our supply. I'm tempted to use my painted Mansions of Madness miniatures for enemies as well, but maybe we'll keep using the official entities from the set. All right. Is there anything to talk about? Anything else to talk about? We'll do a little recap as we get the as we reset up here, but hopefully a new setup. In fact, I'm tempted to even, well, we'll try this like this. All right, anything else to talk about before we get started? I mean, we saw each other yesterday, so there's not much new to talk about. I suppose we should talk a little bit about how we feel about Etherfields. Remember that unlike most of the games we play here, when we decide we're going to play a campaign like 7th Citadel, we're in for 67 hours, 60, 70 hours, and we know we're going to play it to completion. Etherfields, I feel a little bit differently. Like I'm reserving the right, if we're not loving it, to just pull the plug here. But I am enjoying the story, the theme, the mood quite a bit here. I like this surrealistic dream, creepy horror world more than I like the sort of fantasy, high fantasy world of Tolkien and all that kind of stuff. So I am liking this. But I suppose that the semi-negative reviews have influenced me, and I'm nervous. Nervous about whether it's going to start to feel like an unpleasant grind with an unpleasant conclusion. But we'll see. Okay, let us now go back to the tablet and finish up cleaning up. Now, one of the things that's a little bit unusual about this game, and is a little bit of a pain, is that most campaign games like this, at the end of each scenario, there's like a cleanup, a full cleanup. Like your hands get shuffled back together, your items get put in your item pile, like all the stuff, all the wounds, everything sort of resets. There's a progression that your characters get more powerful, they get better items, get more skills, but between sessions, it's a reset of your status. And one of the things that makes Etherfields a bit more confusing between rounds, between sessions, is that the game doesn't really reset these things. You're supposed to keep track of your distress, your ether tokens, your discard and draw deck doesn't reset automatically. And it's one of the things that they experimented with alternate rules to. And part of our task is to figure out which of these alternate rules we want to follow. So, yeah, let's get back. I guess maybe what we should do is reset our cards to where they were before I start reading. So let me put everything back on the table that we had. So we had 3 items that we didn't end up using. We were planning to use them, but the mission ended before we had a chance to. So I'm going to put these right here. These are going to be what we need to use in a second. We chose 2 masks, the Ghost Mask and the Devotion Mask, which are here. We chose to wear the Devotion Mask. You can only wear 1 mask at a time. And then we got a little bit of our backstory, which says that we're going to trigger a little bit of backstory memory once we activate 4 progress cards. Once we place 4 progress cards, we'll learn a little bit more of our backstory. We've lost our memories. We're trapped in this dream world. We're trying to figure out who we are and why we're here. So this is a note card. I guess maybe these are all... This one is explicitly a note card, but these will all be in our personal supply. And then we've got our deck. And this was our draw deck. And this was our discard deck. And then here is our player aid. As for items in our supply, there's an item market and an item supply, and then an items that are active. So we discovered these other items that are in our basic supply. So if you have a chance to bring in a new item, to refresh an item, we could choose from these. But they are currently out of play. There's also an item market of items that's currently empty, but eventually we'll get more items that maybe we can gain access to. Then we have the turn cards. Those there. We have the flaw cards, which we haven't... sorry, these are the fate cards. And then we have the flaw cards, which thankfully we haven't gotten any yet. All right, so I think now we are oh no, there was also okay, here. So we also have to keep track of how we ended the session with 2 distress and 2 of the blue markers. We healed a couple at the end of the scenario, but we still have these. I think for the first dream, it is going to reset these, but in general it won't. So we got to get into the habit of not clearing these off at the end of a session. All right, let's go read the end of yesterday's stream, the whole preparation for our dream world. We enter the door on the box and a bright light engulfs us, and then the woods, the creature and the underground chamber, the game, everything disappears. We leave it all somewhere far behind. We're in a rift filled with nothing but light. We crawl out. We're no longer in the forest. It dissolves into the past like a dream after awakening. We're in a city now. Can we wake up inside a dream? If we're awake, we shouldn't be dreaming, but our surroundings suggest otherwise. The city's unlike any we know. Houses scrape a sky full of bulky airships. The moon is too large or too close, and a huge mechanical construction connects it to the ground. Neon lamps buzz and sparkle, inviting us to step inside colorful shops. Someone approaches, a mixture of human and rat. Ah, never mind. For a brief moment, I thought you didn't have a face. You have one, right? Oh, such a silly idea. Sorry. The creature says and shakes a bottle in its hand. Have a wonderful night, person with a face. Victory. Each dreamer cures 2 distress and unseals 2 cards. All right, we already did that. We have no more sealed cards, and we still have 2 distress left. Remember, to unseal cards, you take them from the top of your sealed card and put them, pile and put them back. All right, well, we only had 1. But remember, it's not going to reset between dreams. So if we seal a whole bunch of cards, it may be a long time before we get them back. We stand in this gigantic, mysterious city, dumbfounded, and then a memory forms at the edge of our minds. Find all cards 241, get your first memory card. Okay, so we've done that. That was our first memory, which is here. I'm going to try to use this green screen today. All right, so that's our first memory. Now it's time to change the game slightly. Don't forget to resolve all of the following steps. There are many of them. In addition to rewarding you, they will add many basic elements to the game. Jonathan says, I did have a thought. It mentioned the board game was from 1937. If I recall, there might be a special paragraph in the book for 1937. I am going to write that down, Jonathan, because you're right. I remember that. In session 1, a little note, board game was from 1937. You think we could look up in the secrets book 1937? I don't think it goes that high. All right, well, let's come back to that after we finish here. All right, let's see. So, set aside cards D and tiles S and T. Okay, so card D was this card here that we did have in our pile, and it's going to teach us about how the dream world symbols work. This is a replacement card from the 2.0 edition. And that's what we're playing. We're not going to read this till we get to it. Now, S and T were actually not out, but I should have had them out because they were part of... I thought they were going to be here. No, those are the discarded cards. Let's see if they're here. No. How about here? S and T. Okay. All right. S and T were actually part of the 1-1, so we should have had them out in a pile, but unrevealed. Discard the current dreamscape, which I already have done off camera, except for those already gained, as well as the dream gate tile, which I got rid of. If there are any items that you didn't find, but we did find them because we looked under the foreboard, then we put them in the item market. But we did find them, so we have them, and there's a blank market. Okay. Now, S and T. S and T are these cards here. They are going to form the start of our dream world overmap that we're going to be traveling around. A2 and B2, so they're going to go in on a special map. In fact, maybe it would be wise for me to organize that. Over here somewhere. Actually, a little bit tricky because this game is a table hog and it wants you to keep both set up at the same time. But for now, I'm going to put it right here. So S and T bit have markers here. So A2 is here and B2 is here. So they form a map here that could be as big as 4x2. Okay, so we've done this first step here. Now, find the 4 tiles 236A. 2 of them have starting written on their backside. All right, let's find those. Two 36A. That's 4 of them. Okay. I'll make sure I put everything back away so we can find it. Just put it here. Okay, 236A. 2 of them have starting written on their backside. These are the 2 setup slumber map tiles. They're always placed face up. First one on the slumber map. You can do that now. That doesn't look right. $236A. There's 4 cards. Oh, I see 2 say starting on them. All right. They're always placed face up on the first slumber map where the dreamscape was. So these 2 are going to go out on this map, which is going to be where we have our slumber mini adventures. Same board is used for slumber mini adventures or for dreams. And they always have the same setup here. Okay, so those stay out there. Note that this is the dreamscape map is separate to the dream world map we'll be placing later. Okay. And then I guess the other 236s, what do we do with them? The easiest way to remember the difference is to think dreamscape equals landscape, which is smaller to the dream world, which is larger. That's fine. What does it want me to do with the other 236s? I guess just leave them out for now. All right, find tiles 237. Okay, 237, A, B, C, and D. Fine. A little different as a green. 37A is a little different as a greenback. Set it aside, shuffle the other tiles, make a slumber deck. Okay, so that's these. We're shuffling B, C, and D. The green goes at the bottom. This is our slumber deck. put it on the allocated spot on the board or off to the side. Fine. Read step 2 again. It says shuffle the others to make a slumber map deck. I see. You're saying these two we shuffle to make our slumber map deck. And then, okay, we've got a slumber deck and a slumber map deck here. Okay, fine. I think we're okay. Now we're thinking, where to start our search? Fragments of our previous training break through the barrier of oblivion. We knew we would be in this situation. Now we have to choose which path to take. We have two options. Start an investigation to find someone who can know what's going on, or look inside ourselves and maybe there we'll find the answers. Two paths we can take. So we can go into the city, or we can meditate on our problems somewhere surrounded by nature. And now we're going to gain a new dream gate that we can possibly go into when we want on our next dream. So 239B and 239. Oh, these are going to be our two choices. Okay, I like it. Now I'm getting the feel for how this is set up. I need to have some way to mark. I need to have some way to mark where I take these cards from. Okay, so 239. That's very dangerous for me to be taking cards out and not remembering where they came from. Okay, here's 239. 239B and 239O. Okay, so these are all like little scenarios. So that's not 239B is not alone in the dark. And 239O, I'll never forget those sunshine days. So these are going to be two different scenarios we could choose to go on to learn more or to progress the game. We'll get to choose, but notice that they're in different locations on the world map. This one you would enter from the metropolis, and to enter it you need 2 keys. This one you would enter from the suburbia district and you need 2 keys. So we can't go into either of these yet because we don't have 2 keys. And we would have to go from these different areas. So this one you enter from suburbia, and this one you enter from metropolis. And they're both new dreams. So we have a open world choice about what to go into next. And this gave us a little framing for our choices. One is finding someone who might know what's going on, and the other one is to look inside ourselves. Now, it says, these tiles allow you to enter unique dreams if you travel to their locations and spend the required number of keys. You have a special envelope for keeping Dreamgate tiles. You'll need several more things. Okay, so I don't actually have that special envelope, but I do have an envelope. I guess it wants us to put these tiles in that envelope so we know which dreams we have available. Now, gain card D, which we set aside earlier. That is... where did we put tile D? Tile D. This one. Okay. Here's our D. This is the Dream World Map Wisdom card. Put it in the Wisdom cards holder. You'll use this rules reference as a guide to travel through the Dream World map. All right, so there is our Dream World Map D card. There's 2 versions. One is the original here, and one is the new version 2, which is what we're playing. Now, it says put it in the wisdom holder. What is the wisdom holder? It's this little plastic thing that is used for keeping track of all the wisdom that we gain as we play. It says there's room for 18, 9 on the front, and then 9 on the back. I don't know if... It seems like it might be easier to just to have these in a deck, but we'll keep it here for now. We'll read it when we need to. Now it wants us to take S and T, which are these two here, which we set aside. These are your first two Dream World map tiles, Suburbia and Metropolis. You place them in the corresponding spots on the Dream World map board. They are the first two districts of the Dream World, and here they are here. Now, each dreamer gains 3 ether. Okay. So we're going to give ourselves, there's only one dreamer. There's our 3 ether. If you haven't gained these yet, they represent the experience dreamers can gain as they explore the dream world. They can be used to buy additional influence cards and to pay for certain other effects. To spend these, you'll need and then there's a colon and nothing, and now we're on to step 8. Now we did get some ether from the tutorial, but I believe we spent it. Did we spend it, or did it just check if we had it? It's kind of important. Like, are we starting? Should we be starting with 3? In addition to these 3? Gain the 3 cards 241C. These are note cards. You should keep them in the storage. Okay, 3 cards 241. 241C. Two cards or 3? 3 cards, okay. Here's our 241C cards. 241C. These are no cards. You should keep them in storage. These particular 3 cards allow you to make purchases if you're in a shopping location on the Dream World map. When you go shopping for influence cards, draw 3, buy as many as you want, paying ether for their costs. If you choose to buy none, you gain a blue gem instead. Shopping for items is similar, except you only draw 1 random item from the item market deck, and the cost to obtain it is 2 ether. You may have no items available currently, depending on whether you found them in the first dream or not. Okay, we did find them. All right, I'm going to put our ether over here. Jonathan is confirming those are the version 2 of the Dream World tiles. Do you want to show version 1 and how they're simplified? Sure. Where did I put that version 1? Okay, so version 2, which you remember they shipped a little bit after they shipped the first wave. The map tiles they've replaced to simplify them, which I understand was to simplify and not make you have to go through so many slumber stuff. Let's put it right here. Okay, so you can see on the left is the original and on the right is the new. They're not really marked as such, so you really got to be careful. We should make sure, but there were many more paths on the original, And the new ones are slightly simpler and slightly less busy work traveling. And you can see there's keys on the first versions that you would go and gather keys there. I guess it's simplified here. Looks like maybe I think the reds were the slumbers, so they've gotten rid of the red slumbers here, I think. All right. We're using the new rules that seem to be mostly, although not universally, regarded as improvements. Okay, now it wants us, so it's telling us about shopping. We've got 3 cards that let us go shopping. They're all identical. They basically tell you the rules of shopping. So as I understand it, there are places on the map we can go shopping if we have these cards. So this is keeping track of how many times we can go shopping. And it's just the rules for shopping. Now, 6 cards, 241I. This is the seasons deck. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What does it look like? A season of watchers, a season of regeneration, plague, emptiness, ordinary days, and secret paths. So as I understand it, these are rule changes. So while you're in the season of watchers, you cannot gain any keys except on the Dreamworld map, except in Pandemonium. So there's always a season. Some are negative, some, maybe they're all negative. Ordinary days doesn't alter rules, ignore the penalties. Okay, so 2 positive ones, well, maybe 3 positive ones. Yeah, okay. 3 positive seasons and 3 negative seasons. All right. Make a seasons deck, place it on the seasons slot. You can find it near the Dreamworld map. Seasons will change, but for now, find the ordinary days and place it face up. So I think something said to leave these unshuffled, but I've just reshuffled them. So it wants ordinary days on the top. I'm going to shuffle the rest. All right. So ordinary days is our current season. Face up on the top of the seasons deck, and this goes somewhere on the board. I'm just going to put it here for now. Now we have a seasons deck. 241M is the Awakening card. Okay, we already had that. I forgot what gave it to us, but here it is here. It's a wisdom card, and it goes in the wisdom card holder. So basically, that's this plastic thing to keep track of all our rules changes as we learn them. Although, again, I really think this is going to make life harder for us to have it in this sealed thing. But I get the idea. It's nice to have like one little summary, but I think we're going to have to do these differently so we can read them more clearly. We'll read it when we need it. Now, to begin the campaign, resolve the Awakening. Follow the steps on the Awakening Wisdom card, except for setting up the Slumber map, which we've done already here. I'll move these out of the way. All right, so we don't have to set up the Slumber map because we've done that already. These are all in our supply. So we still have some distress and some gems, and we just got the ether. There's our character. Okay, so now what does it want us to do? Follow the awakening rules. And then when awakening is a rest mechanic that can be performed after resolving a location effect on the dream world map that allows you to restore your stamina, remove your distress and sealed cards at the cost of progress. At no point during this do you draw influence cards into your hand. After you've done that, your team marker should be on the awakening space, and then we're going to continue. Okay, so let us follow the rules of the awakening by taking it out of the place it wanted us to put it. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. So we can occasionally do this awakening, which lets us reset, but we have to do it now after the tutorial mission. Discard all influence cards from their deck, hand, and progress zones. Okay, so here was my draw deck. We didn't keep track of my hand, but we should have, and in future we will need to. Okay, so everything gets discarded. Cure all distress and unseal all cards. Okay, so this 2 distress that we had accumulated gets to get put away. Discard keys and blue gems. All right, so we don't get to keep the blue gems we found. Reshuffle the influence market, item market, fate, and slumber decks. Put the delta phase at the bottom of the slumber deck. So essentially, we're supposed to reshuffle all the decks. Reshuffle the fate deck. Reshuffle the turn deck, although why not just do that? I guess turn deck. It doesn't say to do. Okay, the influence market is this big stack of cards that we're going to be able to do our deck building from. But we've never seen it before. Remember, this is going to be done periodically, but in the beginning, we've never been here, so we've never even seen the influence market. And then the slumber deck is this deck here, which it's already had us shuffle and put the green at the bottom. But every time we do this, as I understand it, the way this is going to work is we're going to proceed through these slumbers. As we go through one, it goes to the bottom, and then eventually this green will percolate up, and it'll cause us to do a bit of a reset. But for now, we don't have to worry about that. Okay, now officially you can choose your dreamer, change dreamer if you wanted, but we're going to stick with our engineer, specialist. And then it's reminding us about building our influence deck. Now, the way this works is we've got our deck of influence, which is our starting deck. And 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. This is our starting set of 22. We can build this deck over the course of the campaign by purchasing new cards or acquiring new cards. And it can never be higher than, it can't be higher than 40 or less than 20 when we start a scenario. So, but right now, so I guess if you had acquired, if we had 60 of them that we had bought, we would now build our deck of no more than 40. But since we only have 22, that's our full deck. I suppose if we wanted to now, we could get rid of cards to slim our deck down to a minimum of 20. But because they also represent our life, it doesn't feel like we should be doing that. We also don't really have a good feel for which ones are useful yet. So I think we'll just keep this. All right, now we get to choose and change masks if we wanted to. So remember that we've got two masks. We've got the Ghost and Devotion. And their powers are the Ghost lets us walk through walls and ignoring a distress during the dreamscape phase. And increase hand size. So I actually didn't appreciate how powerful this was until just now. They're both very cool. This mask thing is a very cool thing. You can only have one mask on at a time, and it changes the rules. This one increases your hand size by 2, which is huge. The Ghost mask lets us move a space through a wall, which could be huge in a given situation. But what I just noticed now is this ignored distress. This is once per turn. Once per turn, we can ignore a distress when the entities go. I mean, that could be saving you half a dozen distresses. Remember, you die if you get 8. There's 2 things that end the dreams. One is if you die from too much distress, and the other one is if you run out of turns. So these are both very powerful. So we should decide now, we have to decide now, which mask we're going to put on. I still think maybe Devotion is the best mask in the beginning. We're going to get to change that, but this is like the mask that you wear when you're in a very dangerous dream. And maybe this is the mask you wear for general purpose. So I think we're going to still wear the Devotion mask. And then we would put that on a little stand. I mean, I do think this is a very cool little thematic idea here, that you've got this very beautiful mask that is changing the way your character moves about. Okay, sorry, now we're going through the rest of this. All right, so we chose our mask, restore 3 items. All right, so that means we're going to be able to, from our total set of items, choose which 3 we want to equip. And I think there's no reason we shouldn't keep our same 3, and we'll put these into our item storage. Discard the current dreamscape and reveal 2 slumber mat tiles, which is what we've already done. I don't know, it seems like it shouldn't have had us do that. It should have just let us follow these rules. Now, place the team miniature in the awakening location on the dream world map. All right, so what is the team marker? I think it's this one here. I think it's like our faces. I think that's the team world map. Maybe not. No, maybe it is. It's like all the different masks. So this just represents where we are on the map. Put it on the awakening location in the dream world map, which is right here. All right, so there it is on the awakening location. So that's our current location in the dream world. This is really not going to do it for us, this plastic container. I have to put these off to the side. All right, let's continue walking through the rules. The awakening space. Okay, now we continue. What do you do now? Dreamers have to investigate the dream world to find out their identities and their purpose here. Remember those dream gate tiles that you took out of the secrets before? These are the gates, those are the gates to dreams, just like the tutorial dream we just finished, that you can enter and investigate. Think of them like missions or levels of a game. You have two avenues of investigation to start with. We can either go into the not alone in the dark, or we can try to look inwards and dig up more pieces of your memory. As our dreamers commence their exploration on the awakening space, conveniently located in suburbia, it is recommended you start with Not Alone in the Dark. But of course, you can try the other one first if you like. All right, so we should decide if we want to follow this. I guess I'd be inclined to go with the recommendation. Do we feel like going with the recommendation, or do we want to buck the advice? All right, assuming that we want to go with the recommendation to go to Not Alone in the Dark, which is in suburbia where we are. That's this one here. What do we do? What is my other view here? Is this view better? Yeah, here we go. That makes more sense. Now, I would be inclined to just use our character on this map instead of this thing, but I think the game might want us to remember where we are here, but I'm going to put this guy here. You can see that, right? Okay, we're going to go with the recommendation, says Jonathan. All right, take a look at the dream gate tile for this dream. Alongside presenting the setup information and a few hints about the dream gate tile also tells you about how to enter it and what the requirements are. In this case, to enter the particular dream, we need to go to the dream gate space in suburbia. Okay, so the greens are the dream gates. So to go here, we have to go to the dream. To go here, we'd have to go here. And that's probably what this is going to remind us. There's the green, the dream gate. So we'd have to go to that location and we'd have to spend 2 keys. Now, how do we know that? Because of this thing says to enter, we need 2 keys. I guess here. This is actually a little hard for me to read. We don't have any keys on the moment. So what else does this say? Unfortunately, I can't. I know it looks great there, but to read it, I need it down here. Oh, it's just the setup. But what's the hint? Nothing ever happens in a closed market at night, right? Hint, in this dream, you'll find new ways of cooperation along with many useful items. Okay, so we do have a little bit of a hint that might tell us what mask we should wear. Like this seems like cooperation might be a good positive little map for us. And then the setup, I guess we don't have to read. And useful items. Okay, I like the sound of that. We don't have any keys on us at the moment, so let's figure out how to get them. You'll notice on the Dream World map that a single location space to the south of the map has a little key symbol. Does it though? Or is that for the old stuff? You'll notice on the Dream World map, a single location space to the south of the map has a little key. What are you talking about? I think that's from the old tiles. This is describing the old tiles that we're not playing with. What does this thing tell us? Okay, so it looks to me like they got rid of the, we may have to read that, but they got rid of the keys on the map. So that's how, remember, Jonathan had us look at this card. In the original Dream World maps, there were these key locations here. Let's do it this way. You could go and get a key by cycling through and walking and having these slumbers to gather keys. I guess that's what was people found annoying. So now you can't get keys just by walking around the map. Instead, what can we do? We can go shopping or gain a key at the shopping markets. There's none on our cards here. We could go to a sanctuary. That doesn't get us a key. We can go to the train station. That won't help us. But if we go to a dream gate, we can go into a dream if we have the keys, but if we don't have the keys, we can gain a key and have a slumber. So it sounds like what we do now, let's look at the old rules. It sounds like what we do now is we have to go do that to get keys. So look, in the old rules, this is the old rules. In the old rules, you don't get a key at a dream gate. You have to go to a key symbol to get a key. In the new rules, you basically get keys at the dream gates if you don't have enough to go into a thing. So basically, we still have to do the same thing, travel around in a loop in order to get keys. All right. So we'll be going to dream gates to get keys, and while we do that, it'll be sending us into slumbers. So we're not just going to be able to go right into a dream. All right, so these rules haven't been updated, I guess. Let's see. You will notice a key, move this location, you obtain a key. There are other ways to obtain keys. For now, this is the most likely. You'll need to loop around in order to get 2 keys. This will slowly introduce you to all other mechanics. When you have these keys, go back to the dream gate and discard them in order to enter a dream. And then here is navigating the dream world, but hasn't been updated with the new cards. It's like a global bird's eye map of where your team is currently located. Starting with your team marker on the awakening space, you'll move it around, following the big arrows until you reach other locations with map icons. These are one-way paths. You normally cannot go backwards against the direction of the arrow. Smaller arrows are shortcuts. Usually have a cost listed on the map area. In the case of Suburbia, if your team were to travel on these routes, you would need to flip an active progress card or seal one card. Is that still true for us? I don't think so. Only the old cards said this rule about if you take a shortcut, you seal a card. So I don't think that applies to us anymore. Now, you'll notice from the awakening space, you have potentially 2 pathways to head to, one to the right. In our case, there's only one direction to go from awakening, which is up into here. So this is all irrelevant for us. but it is teaching us about fate, slumber, shopping, and sanctuary. Okay, I don't think we need to... Okay, so it's ready for us to go. Movement is freely done regardless of what path you pick the moment you enter a location. Now, we probably also should have kept our... Oh no, it had us discard everything, so we have no cards in hand. I think then that we just move around here. I don't know if we want to quickly look at the changes of the rules. Not really. So I suppose we would go here. And then we're ending up in a dream gate. We have to choose one. We don't have the keys, so we can't go into one of our dream gates. So instead we get a key and resolve the top pile of the slumber deck. Okay, so where are our keys? So we get a little key. This version came with some metal keys. I don't think we need these big keys. All right, let's just take a key. So I'm going to put this key over by our supplies here. We've got one of the two keys we need to get into a dream. But now we have to resolve the top pile of the slumber deck. Okay, the top pile of the slumber deck is here. We've shuffled these up. Let's put it here to be revealed. But the app has some little help for us. So we're going to resolve a slumber card. So no more exclamations on the map. It's just we get a key here and we trigger a slumber. All right, let's click here and see what it says. Draw the top card of the slumber deck, resolve it. Be careful not to confuse this deck with the slumber dreamscape tiles. The slumber deck has a vivid red back and the large word slumber written on it. The slumber deck consists of encounters that your dreamers bump into while moving from location to location in the dream world. Some encounters are hostile and force your dreamers to face entities on the slumber dreamscape map, while some are benign and give your dreamers some breathing room to set up and recover resources. At the current moment, you have no influence cards in your hand. The only way to obtain these is to enter a slumber where you will have a normal turn structure. As your dreamers are just starting out, you'll find many of the slumber cards will not do anything, but check to see whether you have a certain number of active progress cards in play before ending the slumber. The moment you satisfy the criteria on these cards, go to the secret script entry on the cards. The main entity you will meet in the slumber deck is the Wraith. The moment you draw this slumber encounter, go to this entry. You may want to write this entry down somewhere to make it convenient for you to return to it. I see. We're going to be fighting wraiths over and over again. Lastly, the last slumber card, the green one, is a special encounter. This is called the Delta Phase. When you reveal it, follow the instructions on the card. We won't really talk about it, except to say it will be a very pleasant surprise and provide a means for your dreamers to recover without having to awaken. Okay, and now we go back. So it tells us we should remember that we're going to be going to the Wraith a lot. 133.6 is the Wraith. Now, so some of these are full encounters, some are just recovery. We've shuffled it up. We're going to turn this over now. What we do need to remember is that there are new version 2 rules for this experience. Let's just take a look at this description here. Experienced players who wish, this is the version 2 option, who wish for a more condensed experience may want to use this mode. The continuous dream mode shortens the time spent between dreams, which is where we are now. It lessens the impact of slumbers and the dream world map on your game. We recommend this mode to players who play Etherfields in longer gaming sessions consisting of several dreams. In other words, if you want to have a shorter experience and get right to the dreams, but we're not going to do this yet, but I do want us to be familiar with it. And we're going to at least play the slumbers mini game thing until we get tired of it. Okay. But it's saying, before you do this, here's why you might not be having fun with the slumbers. It says, when you start the game, you're not built up. You must start placing progress cards. So get used to that. Gather your gems, gain ether. And slumbers are a good way to do that. So it's saying you can do some useful stuff in slumbers. If you're not prepared to face them, some slumbers can often be skipped. And the skip cost is usually lesser than playing the full slumber. If you know what deliverance is, you'll learn about it. Time your victory well. If you win during the right turn, you may gain the loot you need. So I'll show you that as we look at the turn cards, what decides what loot you get. Okay, so if you want to play this mode, you put the continuous dream mode tile in the dream gate slot. At the start of any slumber, which we're just about to start now, this new rule lets us look at the tile and choose to, instead of doing the slumber, do this continuous dream mode tile. Treat it as any other slumber. Whenever you enter a dream, discard this card and the tokens on it and place it back after the dream ends. Okay, that's a little weird, but let's take a look at it and see if we can make sense of it. So when we would enter a slumber, which is what we're doing now, we can throw it out and do this instead. And it's basically saying we're going to have a one-turn experience. We flip over a turn card. We suffer a distress. And then we take one turn. And then this triggers. Place all cards from the turn deck on the bottom. And then we gain a key. Or we go on a mystery path. Or we unseal a card. Place a threat token on this tile. If there are 8 or more, discard all threat tokens to resolve the delta phase with the green back. Okay, so basically it's just like a super abbreviated slumber. It's like pretend you did a slumber, and then after 8 of them, you would do the delta phase. You suffer a little bit of distress by taking the shortcut through a slumber, but you do gain a key. So that seems fairly straightforward. But we are going to actually do our first slumber, whatever it is. But okay, that seems straightforward enough. If you don't want to do a slumber, you just take a distress and do that. All right, let's see what our slumber is. No. Let's take our first break after an hour of learning, and then we're ready to get started. All right, we're back. Before we jump into this slumber, just a couple more minor things. I did want to point out a couple of little things in the rulebook. First of all, here's this little note about solo play. When playing solo, you may find some cards less suited than others for solo play. You may remove such a card from the game and draw another one. Don't do this too often. You may discover you removed a card, but you didn't realize it was going to be useful. So if we get a card that looks like it's mostly for helping others when you're playing multiplayer, we can choose to refresh that. There is a note about season cards not happening randomly. We can trigger positive or negative seasons. So currently we are in ordinary days, so we don't have to do anything special. Everything is normal. And let's read this thing since we are playing Etherfields 2.0. Your first few moves on the Dream World map may seem very simple and straightforward. Don't mind that. The world will evolve as time goes on. All right, we are ready to reveal our slumber card. Here we go. What's so creaky? Something disturbing is coming. If any dreamer is 3 placed progress cards or more, remove the slumber tile from the game and add this new tile to the slumber deck. Otherwise, the slumber ends. So that's it. But it's a little bit of anticipation of something coming. So we put this card at the otherwise the slumber ends. Okay, so I think the way it works when the slumber ends is we put it below this green tile. Let's see. Let's make sure we're doing that right. So that was the slumber. Some of the slumbers have full battle, some of them are just like this. The slumber ends, slumber tile to the bottom of the deck. We clean up. And we stay where we are. And everything would resume back where it was. So actually, that goes back down. It'll get shuffled up when we get to this green card. But that was our slumber. Now, we go back to our tutorial. We're just going to go back here. But did we take our key? I'm trying to remember if we got a key. So we have 2 paths. I guess we had no keys and we just went and got one, right? Yeah, we just went and got one. And it's a little bit hard for me to keep resetting that. So I think maybe we'll just put this in front of us like this. So here we are back here. We've gotten 1 key the easy way. Now we want to recycle here to get another key, or we could explore. I mean, here's another dream gate. It seems like maybe we just go up right up here and get our next key. Well, in fact, there's nothing. Well, there is something else we could do. We could alternatively go here. That's the only other place we can go, right? The arrows are mostly one directional, but there's an arrow here and an arrow to this other dream gate, which would get us our next key. And then we could go back here into a dream. You could keep going back. So I think we're fine. But do we want the question mark? So let me just show you what I did here. Instead of using that plastic thing, I used our little 7th continent things here. So let's remind us what this blue question mark is. Resolve the top card of the Fate deck. So the question is, do you want a Fate deck instead of getting another key? If we go to this, we can read about a Fate deck. Others cause a slumber tile. What do you think? John says, let's try a Fate. Okay, so we're going to, from here, travel to this location here, which triggers a Fate. Okay, now we'll read the instructions about Fate. If you go on a blue question mark, you draw the top card of the Fate deck and resolve it. Some Fate card effects occur right away, give you penalties or bonuses. Others cause a new slumber map tile to be placed. These latter ones are a bit more complicated, so we'll cover them here. All right, well, let's see what we actually get from our Fate deck. All right. Here's what we drew. Vanishing Point. Each dreamer seals 2 cards or search the Slumber deck for the Delta Phase card, then reshuffle the deck and place the Delta Phase tile at the bottom of the deck. So you're just, instead of sealing 2 cards, you can prolong the time until the Delta Phase resets. Since we got a card that was kind of good, I think we should do the second one rather than sealing 2 cards. Sealing 2 cards is a little scary. It reduces our life. So we are going to we're going to do that. We're going to shuffle up that one slumber card we drew and put it back into the deck, which will prolong our Delta Phase. It did say the Delta Phase is a pleasant surprise, so maybe it'll let us upgrade and stuff. So prolonging that may not be to our advantage, but so be it. Let's see if there's anything else we want to read here. So if it says to draw a Dreamscape Slumber tile, we would draw one and place it on the map, so you're gradually building the slumber area. And then it talks about quirks and danger. Okay, but for us, it had no effect. All right, well, we're back to, do we have shopping cards or not? We absolutely do. We have 3 shopping cards. But we have no place to go shopping. None of the places on this map let us shop. To go shopping, we are going to need to find a supermarket where we can shop. So once we do, we have 3 shop events we can trigger, but right now there are none. There's a, is that right? I believe that's right, unless there's a shopping, is this a shopping district? No, that's clearly, I mean, this is a railway though. Is this a, I mean, it is a little unclear, isn't it? A shopping district looks yellow, not just lights, but yellow. So Here's a railway. Here's a dream gate. Is this a sanctuary? I guess this is a sanctuary. Then what is this? Nothing. That's just a question mark. But we don't have any shopping districts, right? It's clearly a sanctuary. A sanctuary, you can unflip a progress card, you can unseal a card, or you can restore an item, none of which are useful to us at this point. All right, so let's go back and draw another key. So we either discard the keys to go into the dream or gain a key and resolve the top card of the slumber. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. We're gaining our second key. We now have 2 keys. We can now go into the next dream gate. However, we have to resolve a slumber now. So I need to put these closer by. Okay, let's see what our next slumber is. What's so creaky? It's the same exact thing we had last time. All right, so this goes to the bottom. So far, kind of odd thing here. Now we have to travel. So we could either go get another fate and back, or we could go up here and get another key and then come back and trigger another slumber. I guess we kind of want to see what a slumber is like. So let's go up here to this metropolis, grab ourselves another key. Now we have 3 keys, 1 to spare, and trigger another slumber. This time a more interesting one, surely. Here we go. Because we want a slumber before we have our next proper dream. Okay, well it says the wraiths are the most common thing you'll encounter in your slumbers, and here we are, we're going to encounter one. It's going to be a 4-turn encounter. We're going to spawn the wraith. And to remind you how this works, these are the actions we can perform on this wraith. For 7 green, we can light up the room. And only when the wraith is in a lit room can we assault it. And when we assault it for 6 red or 6 yellow, we end the slumber. That's how we win the slumber and we gain loot. So that's our mission, to chase it away, light up the room, and chase it away. But we only have 4 turns to do it. And here are the things it can do. If it gets blue, it's going to morph. If it gets yellow, it causes us distress. Whether if it's in your space, it causes you distress, or if you're in the dark, you get distress. And if it's a red special action, you seal 2 cards, or you suffer a distress, or you spend a blue jewel. And remember that the cards that get sealed stay sealed for the next dream. Like, they keep staying sealed, so that's pretty bad. Now, if you run out of 4 turns without chasing it out, or if we decide to skip the mission, then we're caught and we would read this paragraph. But remember, I just have to keep emphasizing, all the bad things that happen to us stay with us into the next dream. So if we get a whole bunch of distress, we're going to carry that distress into the next dream. So you might very well say, look, we're going to lose this. And rather than get a lot of distress and lose, you could just purposefully lose it right away. Or you could use the new feature to read this card and abandon it. So let me just, so Deliverance, we don't know what it is. And, okay, nothing on the back. So even with the normal rules, we could choose to skip this slumber and read this bad outcome of the Wraith catching us. But we could also, if we wanted to, we're not going to do that, but we could also choose, because of the 2.0 rules, this rule, which just gives us a distress and ends the scenario, ends the slumber, and gives us a key, or we do these things. So rather than do the slumber, do not reshuffle the turn deck at the start of this slumber. Simply place one turn card face up on the turn deck slot, and then you suffer a distress or seal 3 cards, and then you gain a key and you're done with the slumber. Okay, but in our case, we are going to try this slumber to get a feel for it. So, all right, we need the Wraith. Which one do you think is the Wraith? These are us. Is the Wraith here? These look like creatures. Surely this is the Wraith, sort of floating in the air with its hands trying to capture us. Don't you think? I don't know what else it could be, really. Or, I mean, we do have some big figures. How are we supposed to know which creature is which? These kind of look. And then we also have that big whole box. How are we supposed to know which is the which? Which is the Wraith? Alright, we'll just use this one for now. Alright, so the Wraith is gonna come out on our dream world somewhere. Spawn a Wraith. Okay, so remember the spawn happens in these pink things. Let's see if I can get a better view of the map for you today. There we go. Okay, so there's the Wraith spawning there. Notice it's dark on all 4 of these. It's dark on these 2. Not dark here. So if we're going to bring it into the light, we could kill it. Or we could light up the room and then assault it. We come out in one of these 2 spaces. I guess we kind of might as well come out right there in the light. It is weird that there's no health of these monsters. All right. I think I need a little bit of a reminder for, okay, so let's see. It's gonna, if you draw this, go to 133.6. Okay, let's see. Let's have the tutorial make sure we understand how to do it. The wraith behind my back is the first hostile entity you'll encounter in the dream world. The moment you reveal this card, you will place your dreamers on the blue space, which we did. Construct the turn deck. Okay, so we take our turn deck. How many turns do we have? 4 turns, it says on this wraith. So 4 turns instead of 12, which we had before. So we're going to shuffle the turn deck here, and we're going to draw 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. The rest stay in the box. Okay, there's our first 4 turn cards, which I'm just going to put on the table here. No, we need something we can see. Okay. Okay, there's our 4 turn cards. Turning the topmost face up. Okay, so this is our current turn. I told you I was going to explain the loot thing. So on each turn card, it tells you what loot you get if you end the game on this turn. So if we beat him on this turn, we would seal a card to cure a distress, which is not a loot we care about right now since we have no distress. Now, spawn the Wraith. It tells you to use the Wraith miniature. If you don't have it, you can use the Wraith token or substitute a shapeshifter. So if you wanted to use tokens instead of that card, instead of that little miniature, we could go get out the Wraith token. I don't know what's easier to see. I'll just put it on this, assuming that is the Wraith. Okay, now, if you have revealed a turn suit that matches one of the space, it will spawn in that space. Okay, right now there's just this, so it's generic and he just comes out, but sometimes there'll be multiple and they'll match this. Now, if you examine the entity tile, you'll see there are potentially 3 ways to end the slumber. One is to chase out the Wraith. One is if you run out of turns, if you go through 4 turns, and the other one is you decide to skip it entirely. You can only do this before you start your Dreamers phase. So you do not draw cards if you decide to skip, but you're also caught. Okay, so that's important. I thought maybe you could skip it at any time, but you can't. You can only skip it right in the beginning. So we basically have 2 ways to skip it. The new rule and the old rule both let you skip it with some penalty. Remember, the entity will act in the dreamscape phase after all the dreamers have acted and follow what is displayed on the turn card. So just to remind you, at the end of our action this turn, he will do his basic effects, then he will move, and then do his special effects. So he's going to do his basic effects, then move, and then do his special effect. So he is going to hurt us because he is, if he can move to us. And then there's some rules about morphings. You'll also notice there's a special action you can do in this encounter. You can spend 7 green to place a light on your tile, which cancels out the effect of darkness. There are other ways to generate light. Some of the spaces on the map tiles don't have darkness to begin with. When you end the slumber, note your dreamers do not get removed off the dreamscape map. They stay where they currently are to begin in the same position in the next slumber encounter. That is very weird to me. This little elf tells you to ignore deliverance for now. It doesn't concern you. Okay, so I don't love this stay on the dreamscape map, but all right. Now, what about, we're done with this, so we're having a slumber now. We've reset the turn deck. What about the hours? It didn't remind us to reset the hours, but surely we reset our hours as well in a slumber, don't we? Or is that only for a dream? The hours are pretty important, and I don't think they reset. You may have found some references to gaining or losing hours. At the beginning of a normal game, the clock is set up. Whenever the game causes you to lose or gain hours, the hour counter is moved up or down. The beginning of a normal game, that's not very helpful terminology. I don't think that it resets, but boy, it sure would be nice to get some explanation of that somewhere. Should we be remembering that we left the last game with it on 2? Reference. Set up your game setup at the beginning of a game. Does that mean the beginning of a campaign? I think it means at the beginning of the campaign. So we gained hours and we spent a bunch during the tutorial and it doesn't reset. So I guess we're still at however many we had. I'm gonna assume that's true. I don't love that that's not addressed. I mean, they seem very useful, but maybe we're gonna get more later. And why did it not tell us to shuffle our deck? It said the opposite. It said everything gets thrown away. Build your influence deck. I guess that means build it and shuffle it. All right. I guess we're ready to take our turn here. Put this here. All right. Trying to think what's the screen to show while we battle this thing. So he's gonna move. He's got a base move of 2. 1, 2. He could move more, but it seems like we should just wait for him to come in here and then assault him for 6 red or 6 yellow. So maybe we spend the first turn just drawing cards and try to prepare to attack him. No point in us going over to him. So let's take our turn. I'd love to get some blue gems. Okay, so when he moves, we don't want him to get close enough to us. We could use the blue gems to... We could throw away cards to gain gems. When his red thing triggers within range of 1 or suffers 1. Okay, so I think we just take our turn now. Get progress cards in play. That's a good point. Okay, so I'm going to draw my 4 cards. I have a hand size of 6 because of my mask, but we only draw 4 cards at a time. We want to collect enough red or yellow to attack him. We're much easier for us to get 6 yellow, I think. We do have a card we can place for 4 green. When you place a progress card, you can spend 1 blue gem or flip the assistant card instead of playing the cards placing normal costs. So this one lets us place additional cards more easily. And the game did say, like, you could use your slumbers to help you line up cards to play. But it would take us 4 green to place that. That's pretty rough. Could seal a card. I'm not going to be using this, so we're not going to be moving much. So I do like the idea of getting this placed early, but this would let us kill him by sealing it, but I don't love that. It's a good card. I suppose it matters whether we want to... Well, let me tell you what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking that getting a gem, like this guy rushes over to us, we're in trouble. So I'm a little hesitant to do anything until we have some gems to attack him. But I want to keep these yellows so that we can kill him off. He's probably not going to be able to get over to us. Was the default hand size 4, or is that just how many you draw? For some reason, I'm half remembering the default being bigger than 4. I believe the hand size is 4 and you draw 4. But let's make sure. Let's make sure. You always draw 4, and your hand size... Oh, your hand size limit is 6. Okay. Well, that's important. Okay, so actually, default hand size is 6, but for us, that makes it 8. Okay, that's a very good catch, Jonathan. That almost gotten us into trouble. So we actually can hold 8 cards, so we don't need to discard anything to draw the next thing. So I think we're just going to sit. That's great. That's a great observation. I wonder if we shouldn't have some way of tracking that and reminding us. Okay, but so I think what we're going to do is we're going to do nothing here. We're just going to hold these cards in our hand. We don't need to move. There's nothing else. We don't gain anything by not going. Okay, that's it then. We are going to not do anything. The only danger is that if this guy gets really lucky, he could get close to us. But we're going to hope he doesn't. All right, so we're going to pass our turn. Then he's going to go. His basic effect triggers. So each dreamer at range 0 or in darkness suffers a distress. That's not us. We're in the light and he's far away from us. Now he's going to roll and move. And this is where we could get into a little bit of trouble. Okay, we didn't. He get his default move, which is two spaces here. So he goes 2 spaces towards the nearest dreamer. It's always us. We can choose how this wraith moves. I guess it's going to go 1, 2. It's always orthogonal. Okay. And now they do their special effect, which is the red. If you're in range of 1, you have to spend a blue or you suffer and seal. Okay, so we don't have to do that because we're at range 2. If we had been up here, then I guess he'd have to go around. It would be the same. Okay, so that's the end of the turn. So we've got our next turn now. If we kill him if we scare him away on this turn, we get an item or discard a quirk from the dreamscape. That is not going to help us much. Are we going to get a key or something when we get rid of this guy? No. Seems like we'd be better off with the skipping it and getting a key, but I guess we don't need a key. Okay, let's draw our next 4 cards. What's the best way to do this? Put this face down. Okay. Here's our next 4 cards. To do this, we'd have to be in range 1. Let's see what we got. So if we wanted to kill it, we could generate with effort 6 red. It would cost us 2 distress though, but we could get rid of him if we suffer 2 distress with the reds. If we wanted to get rid of him with yellow, we could do it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yellow. We could roll a die and try to get the 6th. Or we could seal this to get 3 and then 4, 5, 6 with 1 to move towards him. So we can kill him right now with yellow or red at some cost. We can kill him with yellow, scare him away with yellow by sealing a card, or scare him away with red by suffering two distresses. What else do we have, though? We have this shotgun. It'd be pretty hard to place it, but once we place it, we would increase our range, but not how much damage we do. So this character powers up by building progress cards. But right now, that's not going to be enough to do much damage to him. Now, what's this inner light? Okay, we could light up any space. That's pretty cool. Don't need it right now, though. We do have enough for 4 green. We could spend this one on green, 3. No, not really. Well, these cards will stay in our hand. Sure would be nice if we didn't have to take 2 distress. 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so what we could do is we could move towards him for 1, take 1 distress to gain 3, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, and get rid of him. And then we would only have taken 1 distress. That's not bad. If we could have skipped this whole thing. Oh no, we would have gotten this, though, if we wanted to skip it. All right, I don't see a good way to do this without getting a distress, unless we wanted to seal this, which I'd rather not do. It would be nice if we could also get a progress card out, but he's going to get... Well, this is interesting, so take a look at this. Okay, this is interesting. Oh, should we be using an item? Oh, that's a very good idea, too. Okay, that's a very good idea. A very good point. Okay, I can see this gets a little bit more complicated. All right, so good. We're taking a long time for our first moves here because this is the first time we've actually got some weight behind this. All right, so let me point out 2 things. First of all, he's not going to attack after he moves. So he's going to do his basic effect, which won't hurt us because we're not within range. And then he's going to morph, and then he's going to move. So we are actually going to get another turn before he attacks us after he moves. So he can't hurt us from his attacking, except if he morphs into something that could hurt us. So I think we need to look at the morphing. But then Jonathan also makes a very good point that these items get reactivated frequently, so it's kind of a waste not to be using them. All right, let us look at the morphing, though, so we see what he's capable of changing into. So he can morph and be more dangerous. He could morph and seal cards. When he seals more cards, he can increase his movement. He can increase his range. Masks are inactive. Progress cards are inactive. You can't re-roll. You can't use your gems. So no matter what happened to him, though, in this morphing stage, it won't it's not going to do more damage to us. So I think we don't have to kill him on this turn. So let's do something else on this turn. And then Jonathan, as Jonathan points out, if these items refresh, it's sort of wasteful to not be using them. So let's prepare to get rid of him with yellow on our next turn. One, two, or we were going to do red. We were going to do red on our next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to kill him. We're going to assault him with these 6, or our safe assault. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is how we're going to get rid of him. We were going to walk over and let's chase him out now. But why bother? Let him move towards us. And let's do some preparation and use some items here. I'd love to place that shotgun if we didn't have to use it. And I think we are going to have to use it. We can draw up to 4 cards. So let's try to play out these 4 cards. And let's try to get this assistant into play. Two, 3. We could generate 3 green. We need 1 more green to do this. I don't want to spend this, because I'd rather use it, but we could spend it assuming we're going to get another green, and if we had to, we could get it this way. 3, 4, 5. Surely we can pull that off. Okay, so we're going to place this assistant with 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to get our first placement made. This assistant lets us place future cards easier. So we're going to place the assistant. It's going to go right there. And I'm going to discard these cards. Put these over there. We're going to keep these 4 cards in hand. Don't really care about these cards. These cards are going to let us assault him. I'm not going to move towards him. No point in doing so. We may want to use one of these items to get this shotgun placed, but we might as well decide it on the next turn. So we're going to end our turn here because we can draw up all 4 cards. Now we're going to trigger his stuff. So first he's going to do his basic effect, which is just to attack us if we're in range or darkness, which we're not. Now he's going to morph. So we're supposed to draw a random morph token, which we'll probably put in a bag soon, but for now we'll just draw. Is there any reason to use an item yet? No. Okay, so the random morph that we drew is this one, which makes him move further. So he now has this morph, the Wraith, she has this move on her, and it is now at the end of her phase. Time for her to move. So I'm going to roll her dice here. She moves her normal 2 plus 2, so she would move 4. Which would just go 1, 2, and then stop. All right, now she's right on top of us. Put her here. Remember, she keeps that morph until the start of her next turn, I believe it goes away. So I think it only lasts for the one turn. We might need to check that out. Okay, then this turn is over. The new turn comes. We've only got 2 more turns. So here's what they're doing now. They're morphing, and then the basic effect, which would attack us. But not attack us for... just attack us for 1. I do need to check out that morphing rule, if they accumulate or if they only trigger once. Okay, now we draw our 4 new cards. We do have our assistant, which will let us place additional cards more easily. So can we get away with building the mechanical shotgun and not using it? Look at this steam bomb. We can place it for 4 yellow and then discard it to gain 5. So surely we want to chase it away this turn. So we need either 6 yellow or 6 red. 2, 4, 5, 6. We actually have enough yellow to chase this away without suffering any distress. I think, though, we should get a card out, though. We don't have a way to charge this, but it would be nice. I wonder if we shouldn't... I wonder if we shouldn't try to get a bunch of stuff out. So, in other words, the Book of Birds lets us place a progress card from our hand for free. So instead of paying 4 red or 4 yellow, I think we use this bird. This is Jonathan's theory. Like, let's place these things out. So we're going to use the birds because we might get our item back. This is interesting. So I suppose it pays to think about this. Look, when we defeat it on this turn, we're going to unseal cards. That's our reward. So actually, what we should do is, since we have no sealed cards, we should use this ability to seal. So I think for sure we're going to use this and seal a card. There's no other sealing actions. So we're going to use this to get us 3. That's 4. That's 5. That's 6. Think of it that way. There's our 6 we're going to use. 3, 4, 5, 6. This is our 6 yellow that we're going to use to defeat him. So these are all free. So we could use the birds to place our yellow, and then we could use strategic plan to place our shotgun. I think maybe we should do this. Let's get prepared early during this slumber. Okay, sorry. Let's do that. So we're going to spend our strategic plan. This is Jonathan's theory of using items. I apologize for it taking me so long to do these turns here in this slumber, but we are just learning this game, and I'm not particularly good at this kind of mechanic, so I want to get the hang of this. So we're going to use this item for 4 red to place our mechanical shotgun. Place it for 4. You can charge it up. We can use it for future assaults. So there's that. And then where's the other item? That was that. That was this item that gets discarded. That's my discard. Okay, and then I'm going to use this. Sorry. We're going to use the free item on this yellow because that needs 4. Guess we could do it in different ways. Doesn't matter. I'm going to use both of these. And then I'm going to use this strategic plan to generate 4 red, which is what we need to build the mechanical shotgun. So now we've got these 3 out. I suppose we could keep the strategic plan and use this instead, flip this instead. I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to keep the strategic plan, and I'm going to use the assistant ability to flip it instead of paying the card's normal thing, just because some benefits let us flip a card that's flipped, so I figure we might as well have ways to upgrade everything. These are in our hand. And then this card is spent. This item is spent. And then we're going to scare it away with 6 yellow. We're going to seal this card to get 3, and then 4, 4, 5, 6. This is sealed, which goes under our mask here. The only reason I'm being so cavalier, these are still in our hand, the only reason I'm being so cavalier with sealing is because we've now scared the Wraith away. And now we get the benefits of the loot. And the benefits of the loot for this turn are unseal the top 3 cards. So we've scared away the Wraith. We can unseal this card, and it goes into our discard. If we had one more card here, we could have traded it in for a jewel, which would have been nice. But that's okay. Okay, Wraith was scared away. We have ended the slumber. I guess this all stays out. And I think that's it. I think we've completed our first slumber. This Wraith card goes to the bottom of the deck. I think that's it. Did we mess anything up horribly? We used one item. We didn't take any distress because we were clever about not panicking when he was getting close to us. We built out 3 items. We used 1, but it's still sitting here. We're allowed to have 4. How much more is the slumber deck? Should we just keep going to trigger Delta and learn about it? There is only 1 more slumber card before the Delta triggers. But we'd have to trigger 2 more to trigger the Delta. I do like that we've built out 2 cards. Well, we need to take a break. Why don't we take our break, then we'll come back and decide. We have enough keys to go into a slumber, to go into a proper dream, but I suppose we need to remember where we were here. I guess we went back. We went back to another slumber. Okay, well, why don't we take a break? We'll come back. We'll decide what to do.
Oh my god.
All right, so we are discussing whether we should go into a dream or go into more slumbers to try to trigger the delta phase. And I get Jonathan's instinct to do slumbers and power up, But we think the slumbers are going to be the thing we're going to get sick of. And I think we're going to be forced to travel around and trigger slumbers to get even just to move around. So I guess I'm inclined to trigger a dream and not get sick of the slumbers. I think maybe it makes sense to trigger 2 more slumbers, learn about the delta, call it a session. Going off a comment I saw, someone saying it was good to trigger delta before dream because I think it sort of refreshes you, but we don't super need that. I'm just not sure how long to expect a dream to be if we should start one now. It's a good question. We've been playing 2.5 hours. I guess it depends whether we have the energy for a full dream now. Well, what do you think, Jonathan? If you think maybe if we assume a dream is going to take us 3 hours to play, do we have 3 hours of energy, or if we have less, then we should just do the slumber? I could go either way, I guess. We can either jump right into a new dream right now, or we could do some more slumbers. Okay, Jonathan says, let's just do the slumber. Okay, so here we are. We could... You don't think this is a shop, do you? I really... No, that's the train station. Okay, we're just going to do slumbers. So... So we're going to move back to here. And instead of entering this dream, we're going to go get another key. Our 4th key. So now we have enough to do 2 dreams, unless we lose a key. And we're going to trigger the next slumber. So let's put these away here. Remember, when we're in a dream gate, we can discard to go into a dream, or we can gain a key and resolve a slumber, which is what we're doing. So there's only 1 more slumber yet left before we enter the green. So we're going to resolve this slumber. There's only a small set of slumbers to start out with, and this is one we've seen 2, and this is the 3rd. You can hear crying. You can hear it closer and closer. If any dreamer has 4 placed progress cards, remove the slumber tile from the game. Otherwise, the slumber ends. Well, we almost have 4. We've got 3 placed. The slumber has ended. We put this at the bottom. We've now seen all 3 of the slumbers. We got a wraith and 2 cards, which have us check if we have 4. Actually, this one would have already triggered if we triggered it now. This one needs 4. Okay, so the next up is going to be the green delta phase. So now we're back on our dream map. We could trigger some fates, but we could go here and trigger this last slumber. Now, is there a limit? This is kind of important regarding keys, because there really are only 4 key tokens and we have 4 keys. Are we allowed to get a 5th key? It feels like maybe that's might be not allowed. But we could bend the rules a little. So we're going to trigger our next slumber is what we're going to do. So we're going to travel back up to this dream gate. We're going to get another key. We're going to use these small keys now. This might be illegal to have 5 keys in storage. I don't know why though. And now we're going to trigger another slumber instead of going into that dream gate. That slumber is the green delta phase, which we've never seen before. So look at this beautiful card. Look at the art on that card. All right, let's see what a delta phase looks like. The current dream cycle ends and a new one begins. Cure all your distress, unseal all your cards, unflip your progress cards. So we do have one progress card to unflip. Reshuffle your influence deck, restore their mask if it got used up or if we wanted to get a new one, and get our hours back. Okay, that's the answer to that question. Now we're back up to 5. Shuffle the slumber deck and delta goes at the beginning. Okay, so now this is useful to know, right? Because we could have suffered a whole bunch of distress in that slumber to get more cards built. We could have had 4 built easily at the cost of a couple distress, and we would have gotten it back. So every time this resets, we get rid of all our distress, we unflip all our progress cards, we unseal all our cards. Now we don't get items back though, so probably getting items back is harder. So better to seal cards than use items. If we had known that, maybe we would have sealed rather than using up items. Reshuffle our influence deck. All right, so every time this recycles, you basically get, oh, it's pick one, not all of them. Ah, I see. Oh, okay. Well, I just started shuffling my deck. I'd rather flip my progress card, though. It's one of them now. Okay, so I'm going to unflip my progress deck. I don't think we had that many here. Just going to put some random... I think we did 4 and 4. Okay, I don't want to shuffle my cards because I feel like it's harder to unflip cards, and I don't feel like we went too far through our deck. Okay, but thank you. That's a very good point. Only one of them. All right, that's not nearly as good. That's fine. And then we're shuffling the slumber deck the next time. Okay, so now we know how the delta phase works. We are well prepared. And we can reset. All right. It is fascinating to me that you don't reset these things between hands. So we actually had we had a hand, a few cards. Maybe there was a couple more cards discarded. I'm trying to be fair here. Not that one, though. Okay. Guess it doesn't really matter much. It is interesting that the slumber stays the way it is, too. It's very strange. Now, so if we wanted to stop here, we'd have to save our state. I mean, regardless of when we stop, we're going to have to save our state. Now, there are two ways of saving the game. There's the old way and the new way. The new save system, you don't use the awakening, which is basically a reset. Instead, we just use a save sheet. So are we going to stop here, or are we going to start a new dream? What do you think, Jonathan? You ready to stop here? Now that we've learned all the pieces of the game? I guess it probably makes sense to stop here and then start a new dream on our next session. So let's see. On the dream world, we're on the B2 on the gate, and we have 5 hours on our clock. And then we just pick one dreamer, which is us. It's the specialist. We have 3 ether. We have 0 distress. We have 0 shining gems. And we have, what is this? Generic tokens. Guess we have nothing here. And then we just, what is this for? Do we just write down other stuff? We've got 4 keys. We've got 2 items. I mean, surely our cards have to be kept put away. Okay, well, we're going to stop here. We've now learned the full, we've learned the full basic system, aside from any rules changes as they go. Oh, progress. So we have the mechanical, shotgun, steam bomb, and the assistant. All face up. Okay, so we've powered our person. We've learned the basic rules other than the special rules that are going to get introduced. We saw what a fate card looks like. We saw what all of the cards in our current slumber deck looks like. We saw what a delta phase looks like. And we discovered 2 new dreams. And we have enough keys to get into both of those dreams. So next session or 2, we will be entering a dream. I will see you next time.